Hello everyone, today let's solve the problem number 1978. Here, employees whose manager left the company, right? So what the question states here, we are given a table employees. You can clearly see here, we are given a table employees containing information about employees, their salary. Here, this one, employees, their salary and their manager. Manager as well, right? Employee name, employee ID, salary as well as the manager ID here. We have to write the SQL query to find the IDs of employees whose salary is strictly less than $30,000. So we have to find all the employees whose salary is strictly less than $30,000 and whose manager left the company. So this is the question, main question. So we have to write the SQL query to find the IDs of the employees whose salary is less than $30,000 and whose manager has left the company. A manager is considered to have left the company if their employee ID is missing from their table. So employee ID must be missing from the table. Then only manager is said to be left the company, right? Is missing from the table but is still referenced in the manager ID column. So, but it is still referenced in the manager ID column. So that's what they have given. So in this case, we have here null missing, but still manager ID, but it is still referenced in the manager ID column. You can clearly see here these values, right? So we have to return the result table that is ordered by employee ID. We have to return the this one employee. We have to return the result table that is ordered by employee ID. So this is very important, right? So let's come to the example one here. So we have employee table here, employees table, sorry. So here we have the employees table. As usual, they have mentioned the earlier itself, employee ID, name, manager ID and salary, right? Employee ID, manager ID and salary is of the type this one, integer, and name is of the type varchar. They have strictly mentioned in the question, right? So here you can observe employee with salary less than 30,000 are the ones basically there are two people with the salary less than $30,000 here. You can clearly see here, right? So one is Khalil and another one is Josiah. You can clearly see here. This one I'm speaking of, Khalil and Josiah, right? So Khalil is having the salary of 21,241 and Josiah is having the salary of 28,485, right? So both are less than $30,000 in this case. These are the two, right? Khalil with the employee ID 1 and Josiah with the employee ID 11, right? I'm speaking of these people with the salary 21,241 and here Josiah 28,485, right? So Khalil's manager 11 is still in the table. You can clearly see here Khalil's manager is still in the table with the manager ID 11. So he has not left the company, right? So while mentioning the question or while explaining the question, I have said strictly that manager is considered to have left the company only if their employee ID is missing from the table but is still referenced in the manager ID, right? But is still referenced in the manager ID. So that's what. So in this case, you can clearly see here in this case, sorry, just give me a second. Yeah, Khalil's manager, see here, 11 is still in the table. Khalil's manager 11 is still in the table, right? So and here when we come to Josiah here, Josiah's manager 6 is missing from the table. So here in this case, Josiah's manager 6 is missing from the table, right? So here in this case, Josiah's manager 6 is missing from the table. So manager has left the company. So manager has left the company. Therefore, we will be considering Josiah, nothing but 11, employee ID 11. So this one we will return in the form of output. So this one we will consider employee ID as the column and we will return 11 because Josiah's employee ID is 11. So here in this case, Josiah's manager 6 is missing from the table. You can clearly see Josiah's manager 6 is missing from the table. So manager has left in this case. Therefore, Josiah, we have to return the employee ID of Josiah, right? In this case. So we will return 11 in this case, right? So I hope the question is completely clear, and what we need to do is completely clear as well. So here in the explanation, they have explained clearly the same thing, whatever I have said. So the employees with a salary less than 30,000 are 1, Khalil and Josiah, right? Khalil's manager is employee 11, who is still in the company, right? Who is still in the company, Josiah. So here Josiah's manager is employee 6, who has left the company because there is no row for the employee 6 as it was deleted, right? So there is no row for the employee 6 as it was deleted, right, in this case. So we have to return 11 in this case. I hope the question is completely clear, and what we need to do is completely clear as well. Easy to understand, right, in this case. So first let's discuss the approach, and then let's write the query. So here the first step, what we'll be doing here, we will filter the employees with a salary strictly less than 30,000. So that's what we need to do here, right? So just give me a second here. That's what they have asked us to do in the question as well. So that's what we will be doing. We will filter all the employees with a salary strictly less than 30,000 in this case. First step here. So the next step here is we will check if the manager ID does not exist. So here this is very important. So just keep this in mind. We will check if their manager ID does not exist in the employee ID list. Employee ID list. And so same thing that we did for Khalil and Josiah. We came to know that Josiah's this one manager has left the company. So we returned the employee ID of the Josiah, nothing but 11, right? So that's what we did. That is what we will be doing here on the second step. We will check if their manager ID does not exist in the employee ID list. We have to return the result that is sorted by employee ID in the ascending order. So in the example, there was only one case, means employee ID 11. We just have to return. In other case, if we consider any other thing, suppose if we had 3 employees whose manager has left the company and their employee ID is 12, 15 and 21 in this case, or 21, 12 and 15. So we need to sort this one in the ascending order based on the employee ID. So we have to in this way 12, 15 and 21. We need to return the output in this way in the ascending order based on employee ID 12, 15 and 21, right? So I hope this is clear. In our case, in the example one, we had only one employee ID whose manager has left. So we are we had returned 11 in that case, right? So that's what. Here we have to return the result sorted by employee ID in the ascending order. This one I had explained while explaining the question itself, right? They have clearly mentioned in the question that based on the employee ID, we have to sort the result in ascending order. So I hope the question is completely clear. I hope the approach is completely clear. As we are done with the approach, it will be easier to write the query now. Now let's start writing the query. So let's start writing the query now. The first step here is we have to select the employee ID of employees that are meeting the condition. So here let's go with select keyword employee ID. So I should have copied from this one table. This is fine. Employee ID. This is coming from basically employees table, right? So let me copy this one. So I'll just come here. This is coming from employees table. So next, salary. We have to filter the employees with the salary strictly less than 30,000. That's what they have asked in the question. That's what we need to do, right? The first step. So we have discussed this one in the approach as well. So I'll just use the where keyword that is provided by SQL here, MySQL. So here where salary less than 30,000. So this is fine. So the next step, we have to check if the manager ID is not present in the employee ID list, right? So that's what we did in the example one as well, if you remember. And also we have discussed this one in the approach. Means in this case, why we will check if the manager ID is not present in the employee ID list? Basically, that shows that manager has left. And in the question they have asked manager has left only if the manager ID is not present in the employee ID list. They have strictly mentioned, right? While explaining the question I have said. So that itself we have to articulate or implement in the form of query. So I'll just give here and manager ID. So let me come here. Let me copy this one here. So and manager ID not in. So this one button, select. So let's select the employee ID here. So let me copy this one and paste it over here. Employee ID from, this is coming from employees table, right? So let me copy this one, paste it over here. This is coming from employees, right? So this is it. So we are just checking if the manager ID is not present in the employee ID list. So this is it for the query. So yeah, one more thing we have to do. If you remember, we have to order the result by employee ID in the ascending order. In our case, there was only one employee ID, right? So whose manager has left, just here. So suppose, just I have already explained in the approach, if we had more than one employee ID, suppose for example 21, 11 and 30, in that case we have to sort them based on the employee ID, right? So we have to sort them based on the employee ID in the ascending order, basically. So that's what we need to implement that in the form of query, right? So I'll just go with order by clause that is provided by MySQL for sorting based on the employee ID, right? So I'll just come here in this case, let me copy this one and paste it over here, employee. So this is it, right? So this is it. Let me hit the run button. So I hope this works. Let's see. So yeah, you can clearly see here the sample test case is getting passed. Let me hit the submit button quickly. So here you can clearly see all the test cases are getting passed. Means the query works absolutely correct on this case, right? So I hope whatever query that we have written is completely clear as well. For now, this is it. Thanks for watching, guys.